Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Bomber Command, a new-ish game out on Steam about the bombing offensive against Germany, although despite the name it is about the 8th Air Force and not the actual RAF Bomber Command. With that being said, it is August 24th in this game, which we just started a couple weeks back with our first look at this. And still kind of early days. It's 1942. It's August. We're drawing about 15 B-17s a week, 9 B-24s, 14 P-47s, and 7 P-38s. We're also drawing 142 crew members, and 38,000 gallons of fuel. I'm curious how fuel consumption and munition consumption are calculated in this. And is it possible if your tempo is too high, can you actually burn through that stuff? I don't know the answer to that. We have been researching Atlantic patrols, naval equipment, self-promotion, and fighter priority on the command points to influence the command. Remember, our P-47 fighter group was nearly wiped out. We only have 23 of an original 48 fighters left after a raid near the edge of our range. I feel like we should pick a priority here. So to me, I'm thinking, so like if we look at this here and we take a look at the different, oh, we should go here. We take a look at the different types of targets. It's 1942, so it's still early days in the war. I'm kind of thinking that naval ports are maybe where we should focus our efforts. Right now, we're losing about 47,000 tons a month as of so far this month, I guess. We have sunk one enemy U-boat. The game's only been going for about a week. U-boat efficiency 60%, and our efficiency at finding U-boats is pretty low. But I believe the amount of subs that are out there and whatnot affect how many munitions come in, how many aircraft come in, things like that. And so I think if we want to build up our force more quickly, we should target enemy ports. Also, it's 42, so it's still early in terms of any kind of like invasion prep. So that seems like a good place to target. Additionally, attacking aircraft factories might not be a bad idea, but I don't really know. Like, I don't have a sense of how many enemy aircraft you destroy and how that influences their ability to fight you. I don't really know. P-47 escort range. Whoa, we can't escort over Brittany? Really? That seems silly. Okay. Well, let's do this then. Let's recon the channel ports. Rotterdam 2. I wonder if you can destroy ships in port, or I don't know. I don't have a good sense of like what actually destroys things in this game, which I guess maybe if we're gonna do a campaign against shipping, maybe we should know that. Weather. Alright, looks like Le Havre is gonna have the best weather. So we're doing recon here. Let's go ahead and bomb this target with 90. Do we want to do the whole strike against it, or do we just want to do one? Let's try two different strikes. Let's try the first strike here. We'll go without escort. I'm hoping there's not too many enemy airfields with actual fighters nearby. And then let's do Rotterdam as well. 48 B-17s. We'll do that one with escorts. And we'll do simultaneous raids here. Let's pull this waypoint back a bit. Just get them out of there as soon as possible. Both of those should be well within P-47 range, and they are. Okay. They'll both start at 4 a.m. and yeah, let's advance to tomorrow and see what happens here. It's the beginning of the day. We've got 2 raids going out. We've got 1 fighter group going in, 2 bomber groups going out. Now, a raid of 48 B-17s would probably be a very small raid in most people's eyes, although what I will say is that in 1942, probably not that far off. You really didn't see like 300 and 400 bomber raids, I don't think anyway, until 1943. So it was pretty early for any kind of raids there to be. Should we do this? Oh, nope, I guess it was too late. Anyway, we dropped bombs on the target. You can see the smoke kicked up there. No enemy fighters intercepted that raid, so everybody came through presumably pretty good. We'll see if flak got anybody. Why is our post-bombing waypoint way back here? I was thinking that was the raid, but we dropped in Le Havre and then flew over France. Oh, fuck. And enemy fighters scrambled after we dropped our payloads. So they came in here and hit the formation. They definitely damaged some aircraft. I don't have a good sense of how many we lost. We'll see. I wish there was a time compression feature in this so that we could jump ahead more. The other raids already landed, but we got both bombing raids, dropped their payloads on target, and without being too damaged. The fighters came after the bombs were dropped. And there you go. I'm always going to probably go as early in the day as possible, just in the interest of time. Like, I can't speed things up as far as I'm aware once, even if nothing's going on. Okay, end day. Let's take a look at the raid reports. 1 bomber loss, only 1, and we claim to shoot down 13 enemy fighters. We're also claiming very little damage to both targets. So that's not great. We could hit Rotterdam again. And Le Havre is claiming 134% damage. That doesn't seem likely, though, based on the target report. So let's go ahead and hit it again. We'll send both bomber groups up again. There's some aircraft that are obviously damaged, but we only lost 1 actual bomber, and we'll send the 20 fighters with them. So we'll go quick. I mean, again, our focus is ports. Damaging those enemy ports. And there's both bomber formations linking up, so we're going to put a heavier raid on Rotterdam this turn. 90, or I guess 84 bombers are up and ready today. I wonder if the AI is really bad at aiming. Because remember, you can drop the bombs yourself. If we're to go and do this, you can drop the bombs yourself. I don't have a good sense of how bad the AI is at bombing. So we're 2.8 miles out. Target shifting a little bit to the right. I think I'm doing the wrong horizontal correction. Yeah. Okay. So it's coming back left. About 1.5 miles out. Got the target pretty close to the center of the bullseye here as we're under 1 mile out. Getting ready to release the bombs, hopefully on target. We've got a little bit of cloud cover here, but here's the target here, so I'm assuming this should be a pretty on target drop there. Might have been a little bit off to the right, not sure. I don't get any report of the actual bombing during the bombing, so we'll go ahead and return. You can see both groups dropped. Quite a bit of smoke kicked up, more debris from that raid than the previous ones, again, because we've got 2 payloads that we dropped, two bomber groups. And we'll take a look and see what the recon says. But yeah, I don't really think I've got a strong enough fighter group at the moment, nor do I have enough bombers to really penetrate deeply into Germany with like 94 bombers. So I think we'll kind of keep pinpricking at the ports and maybe hope that helps us reinforce more quickly. So then we can focus on other more sensitive targets. Moderate damage according to this recon. No bombers lost despite the flak. Flak seems very, very ineffective in this game. And recon claims 199% damage of Rotterdam. That does not seem likely, but it's what they're reporting. This one's claiming 10% damage on Le Havre. Let's go ahead and hit Le Havre again. We'll send both bomber groups up. Again, bombing day after day is probably not great for morale, but when you're not losing any bombers, I gotta think people are more happy. with two bomber groups, I'm going to try not aiming and see if it gives us a different, like, does it say they're less accurate? Does it say they're more accurate? I guess we'll find out as we move through this next raid. We can make things more exciting and mix our targets up, but at the moment with our force as small as it is, you know, I don't see much purpose of that. We just, part of the problem also is if you go too aggressive early on, you really need, what, 4 weeks to build up enough B-17s in reserve to form a third bomber group, and that's with basically no casualties, or with like 10 or less bombers lost. So I think the right way to play this, at least from the 1942 start date, is to be as conservative as you can, because that way you will avoid taking casualties that prevent you building up, right? Because if I send a bunch of bombers out and we lose, you know, half of a group, then I'm only going to get 15 replacements each week. If we're losing more than 15, we're not going to be able to build up a strong enough bomber formation. Now, for the sake of the series, perhaps we should have done a 1943 or 44 start, because we'd have a lot more bombers to draw from later in the war. But it seems more manageable in a better, perhaps, way to sort of show the game with a smaller scale, at least initially. We should get some P-38s before too long also. We are pulling some replacements, which, as I understand it, the P-47 wasn't really being provided to Europe this early. But in any event. Light damage. We didn't drop the bombs. No planes lost in that raid. I don't know how bad the fog of war is. It seems to be pretty inaccurate. I wish you had different target icons, though. Because it says 100% recon, but damage is 114%. That does not make sense. If we go to the naval ports here, we can see recon levels 45%, damage is 33%, supposedly. 90% of the Emden U-boat pens were damaged, 35% of Wilhelmshaven's U-boat pens, which, remember, we bombed in the last episode. Le Havre is totally disabled, and so is Rotterdam, according to these reports. So if this is true, then I guess what we'd want to bomb next is probably something else. So if we're going to base this on intel, maybe we hit, oh god, maybe we hit Brett. All right. We could go for Brest or Lorient. There's no Brest in this game. Or we could go for Saint Nazaire. Are there any other U-boat pens that are closer? Not really. Flensburg, perhaps? There's no fighters around there as far as I can tell. It's out of fighter range, so there's no reason to send any P-47s. The fighters can have a day off. Alright. So this will be a longer raid, a bit more time sitting around. I'd be curious, by the way, while we're playing this, guys. So we've obviously got one really deep grognard game that we're playing on the channel in War in the Pacific with periodic episodes and whatnot. While I don't want my channel to be all stuff like that, I'm curious if you guys would want to see Gary Grigsby's Bombing the Reich campaign. I don't know if we'd be able to show the replays as much. The replays are a little bit slower and clunkier. So I wonder if it would make more sense if we were to do that series to kind of do a post-battle report. Like, that's what I was debating on doing with War in the East 2. I need to learn that game better as well. But like War in the East 2, the turns play out over such a long period of time, and they're so broken up between the different phases. To me, and also like the replay, you can't really see a ton of what's going on during the replay live. So part of me wonders if that would be the kind of series that would be worth like running. You run the replay off screen and then you kind of talk about a summary of what's going on. I know Bombing the Reich a bit better than I do War in the East, so I think it would be interesting to perhaps show, but like, is that something you guys would be interested in watching, like an extended series on that game? Maybe we do a raid once or twice a week. And then talk about it. I also sort of had the idea of like, we could do like a historical series where you do a raid on a target or something, and then you talk a bit about that particular type of target, those raids that were occurring around that time period. Do mix a little bit of history in and things like that. That could be fun to do, although that would be a lot more work, so it would probably require a bit slower of a pace. But curious if you guys are interested. That game does show its age quite a bit, and so it's not necessarily like the prettiest game to play, and it's not, I don't know if it has the same aura as a game like War in the Pacific. I also don't know if the economy really works all that well in the game or not. I'm not sure how polished it is, because I'd probably be playing it against an AI rather than an opponent. But curious what all your thoughts. Meanwhile, you saw we did drop our bombs on that port, and no enemy fighters came up to meet us. There were no enemy bases around there, fighter bases around there, so we got through pretty unscathed. I don't see any, you know, damage or anything on those planes. Now, one of the things I think that would also be something you'd want to consider, or something to factor in while playing this game, is while we didn't notionally lose any bombers to enemy flak, we probably should have. And also, some aircraft would just crash with mechanical issues, and obviously the game doesn't factor that in. So it's a bit more simplistic in a lot of ways. The more I play this, the more I find myself yearning to play Gary Grigsby's Bombing the Reich, though. But it's cool to see a game like this, because we don't get a lot of games at this level, whether it's deep or not. And it's a kind of genre and type of game that I worry about the future, because once Gary is no longer making games, like, who will be, you know? These are kind of the games of the past in many ways that you don't see a ton of anymore. All right, so 83, 35. Really? Rotterdam's reporting only 4% damage? I wish I could run more than three recons a turn. What's the intel say for the ports now? So the damage is way down. Emden and Wilhelmshaven are still the same percentages, probably outdated information. Rotterdam and Le Havre both 100 also. Interesting. So why did the percentages drop? What's over here? What did I bomb anyway? Flensburg. What is going on in the U-boat war? 3 U-boats sunk so far this month. We're up to 73,000 tons lost. Okay. Do we have any more aircraft yet? Is it the next week? No, still the 23. Okay. Let's bomb something else. I'm getting bored bombing U-boats. I know I was doing a strategy, and I've already abandoned that strategy. Or actually, no. Let's bomb. Let's bomb the U-boat pens at La Palace. We won't have the fighters to do anything, so it's gonna be an unescorted raid because it's out of range of the fighters. We'll want to try and navigate around potential flak and potential enemy fighters. So we'll want to avoid enemy air bases as best we can. We are going to go over one. There is La Rochelle airfield over here. But other than that one airbase, it should be okay. What's the weather look like? Moderately clouded, and we're going to drop ourselves. So we will command the bombing raid there. At least the lead group. My fighters are getting a nice couple of days off. My bombers are probably like, God damn, we're flying every day. Of course, you know, at this pace, most of those guys are going to get to their 25 mission quota and get sent home real fast. You know, most of them are surviving. I say that before sending them in on one of the more risky assignments that I've sent them off on, so we'll see. They might all die here. Look at those pretty V formations. V for victory! All right, let's see. Let's see what happens here. I think we're only going to go through the one field of flak and then by the one airbase. It doesn't seem like enemy fighters scramble too far afield. It seems like they kind of hover around their immediate airfield and don't get sent off to other targets. They don't really get vectored. There's definitely not enough airfields to reflect what the reality was, but off we go, flying down to La Roche, gonna take out the enemy U-boats. Here's the airfield right near number 2. Probably scramble. Oh, we did hit another flak field. At least we skirted a second flak. There's the enemy fighters. It's a small fighter group, though. All right, we are 3 miles from target. We got a pretty strong drift to the left. Wait. That's right. I think. Shit, am I going the wrong way? 2 miles. Okay. Right, the arrows are coming back left. Vertical arrows seem to have stabilized. Half a mile. We're gonna be off to the right a little bit, aren't we? Just a little bit. That might be a decent drop. I don't know. It was right on the flank of the target, so we'll see. A couple of enemy fighters. Didn't seem like they had a ton at that airfield. But you can see a prolonged dogfight. Only one enemy fighter appears to have made it back to their base. We've got multiple bombers trailing white smoke. The formation still looks like it's mostly intact. We probably lost a couple of bombers, but I think that doesn't look like a dramatically smaller amount. Meanwhile, I think the enemy fighters got pretty shredded. I wonder what the AI production of fighter aircraft is in this game, because they sure seem to lose a lot of planes. And if my losses on that one raid are any testament, and my replacement rate on that one raid altogether is any testament, I can't imagine that the AI can take too many casualties at fighter aircraft. But those bombers sure seem to defend for themselves pretty effectively. Flying fortress indeed. Oh man, I wish there was time compression. At least in Grigsby's game, you've got so many other things going on. You've got, you know, you're not just launching one raid a turn or even 2 raids a turn. You're launching literally dozens upon dozens of sorties of light bombers, tactical bombers, heavy bombers, fighter sweeps. Like, you've got the whole thing. Now, to be fair, that game starts in August of 43, I believe. So you're looking at kind of as the air war was really getting going. I think the first turn coincides with the first Schweinfurt raid. So that's like when things really started getting serious in terms of deep penetration strikes and things like that. All right, what do we got? We lost 3 bombers, but they lost 29 fighters and moderate damage to the U-boat yard, supposedly. Is that a yard as in like a shipyard? Oh, some of the damage is probably, well, they don't claim their shipyards anyway. Oh, 60% damage here. Okay. Are we still on that same group here? 11 damage, 34 ready. So actually there were quite a few aircraft damaged in that last raid, although not many were destroyed. You can see here this group only has 34 ready. This one is 41 ready. And still lacking those replacement aircraft here, so hopefully soon. I'm curious to see what the munition expenditure is. Not really sure how that gets calculated, but we are dropping like 90 bombers worth of bombs every day, so Kiel shipyard. Kiel ports. Actually, let's see if the enemy has fighters to spare. Let's go ahead and hit the Bordeaux pens and see if the enemy actually has anything to throw up at us, at least out of this fight air base, because we reportedly destroyed probably half of a fighter wing. Let's do this. Let's hug the west coast of the map. I'm hoping that's out of range of those enemy fighters. Can I move another? Let's pull this back. I don't know if I can add more waypoints or not, but let's try this. This will probably be the last raid for the day. I know this is probably not the most scintillating of videos to watch at the moment, but I'm curious because it's a different game, and it's something that if there was maybe more than one raid going on, it could be interesting. I'm wondering maybe the later scenarios could perhaps be a bit more complex because you've got a lot more aircraft going on. Again, this is very much like you get to do one thing a turn, right? But we'll see. We might eat into those replacements. We have 26 B-17s, I believe it was, in reserve right now for replacing losses. We're drawing 15 per week, so when the week concludes, we'll have 41, although we did just lose a couple of bombers yesterday. We lost 1 or 2 bombers in the preceding days, so we'll probably be looking more like an increase around 8 or 9. So we won't have enough for a new bomber group quite yet. Oh, I can't even slide all the way off to the left, so this raid's gonna disappear off map for me. Hopefully that's not a problem. They don't disappear into the Twilight Zone or the Bermuda Triangle. There they go, off the edge of the map. We'll see if any enemy fighters rise up over here as they traverse the west coast of Brittany. They're gonna be disappearing for a while though. Oh, I can just barely make out the edge of the formation here. Doesn't look like the fighters in the base over here are raising up to fight them. So it looks like our flank maneuver worked, as long as the bombers don't run out of fuel or anything out that way. We will definitely also be playing the new B-17 games that Microprose is working on when they eventually come out. I'm excited about those, but who knows when they're coming. If you're not aware, they're basically doing like a new B-17, the Mighty 8th. They're working on like 4 different B-17 games, but I think the B-17, the Mighty 8th one is the most interesting. I don't have a VR headset, so I won't be really doing that one. I think there's like another like Air 4, like a weird sort of Apple style game that I'll probably check out, but really the one I'm really excited about is the Mighty 8th. Right, so enemy fighters did raise up, although this was a different base, so we hadn't hit them too hard. They very quickly returned back to their base. See if anybody comes from this base. This is the one we shredded last turn. Nobody intercepted us on our way back from that base. So just the one fighter group, which was only up on us for a few minutes. And we'll see what our losses are as we traverse all of France without a single anti-aircraft gunner fighter raising up to meet us. Hey, they're going over the Normandy beaches. I guess Utah's over here, but Omaha and Golden, Juneau, and Sword. Not that it matters. That's 2 years in the future. That's a long flight, so they took off at 4:50-ish, and they've already been in the air 10 hours. That's a deep penetration into very southern France. I should have manually dropped the bombs, though. See if we would have done better. Bombers returning to base. All right, there they go. End day. And what were the results? We lost 1 bomber. The enemy lost 6 fighters. We claimed light damage. Intel on naval ports, 42% damage. I'm assuming these ports repair, but... Okay. $33 and $14, 47. 5 damage. Morale is still pretty good on all these guys, despite flying twice a day. Their skill is going up pretty dramatically. They're up to 80s. They started at 60 not that long ago. Looks like we did move into the next week. We did get additional B-17s. We've got 48 in the pool. We've got 27 B-24s. So we're not taking any losses with B-24s because we don't have any crews with them yet, but it's going to be 3 more weeks before we have enough B-24s to form a group. We'll probably have enough B-17s at that time to form another group as well, unless we lose pretty heavy casualties. So we could have 2 more bomber groups and double the size of our formation here in the next 3 weeks. So by late August of 42, or late September of 42, we're up to 14 P-47s came in. We're up to 16 P-38s. In 3 weeks' time, we still won't have enough P-48s. It's going to be, what, 5 weeks until we have enough P-48s to form a group. If we take a look here, I don't think we've drawn the replacements yet. We haven't. Let's skip a day. We'll advance to the 31st. It should give, yep, we drew those P-47s out of the pool, so we're up to 37 P-47s now. Two more weeks for that second B-17 group. And that's assuming no casualties. Which is obviously not necessarily likely. Meanwhile, our munition tons did go up. These are the types of items in your depot. Fuel is displayed in gallons, munitions is displayed in tons. But what does it mean? Because it doesn't seem like we spent any tons of munitions. So I don't understand. Does it cost munitions to raise a group? It's not very clear. Do we want to bomb Berlin just to see what happens? Or should we do a Schweinfurt raid? Schweinfurt, let us bomb. Bomb Schweinfurt. Right, we're gonna avoid fighters because there's no real point. All right, let's bring it in this way. We'll hit a lot of flak going like this, but we shouldn't hit too many fighter groups, actually. That's the funny thing about this, is we can like deliberately avoid almost all the enemy fighter groups on this path, which is what, like, by not having, not by the AI not vectoring fighters, or by the game having fighters very limited to flying around the actual base that they're based out of, you don't see a lot of fighter activity because it's very easy to maneuver around. So I would say they should at least expand the radius around the bases, because otherwise I think there's too many gaps, but we'll see. We'll run into at least one enemy fighter, I assume, on the way to Schweinfurt, and we'll manually drop as well and see what happens here. We will skirt a few different flak fields, so that's something to be mindful. There's the fighters. You can see they scramble up. They're really hitting that lead formation hard. Curious if we'll see them on the way back. Second fighter group, much smaller fighter group, attacks the lead formation. That's probably the most damage we've seen fighters do in any of our raids, and we haven't even gotten there yet. We've got multiple smoking aircraft, although the size of the formation is pretty solid still. Okay, there's more. I didn't think there were this many bases of enemy fighters that we passed along. It looks like the ones up here scrambled and didn't intercept. But we got a third group of fighters that attacked us. That first group has really come apart. See if me dropping myself can do anything to help. We're drifting down and to the left. Oh, that's going way off course. Oh, shit. God damn it. It's counterintuitive on the corrections. Whoa. Am I just off? No, it's just the wind has to be terrible. This is going to be a horrible drop. Let's see if I can get this to its max. Didn't do a good job. I mean, maybe the bombs will hit the target a little bit, but it was up and to the left when I dropped. Let's see if they hit the bombers on their way back. Let's see if we get a second attack from those same fighters that attacked us the first time. I don't know if you get multiple intercepts on the same turn. It looks like it, although those look different. Those fighter aircraft look different. I wonder if those are Focke-Wulfs and maybe they were Messerschmitts the first time. They had different nose paint. Again, the group over here sort of scrambled but didn't intercept. See about these fighters up in, I don't know if it's in the German area or Holland. Only one single fighter came in. So we must have damaged their fighters considerably with our defensive fire. Still looks like a lot of our bombers are going to make it. One of them's trailing dark black smoke. Two of them are trailing white smoke in the lead formation, but I think we actually got most of those guys out. I don't think that was a Black Thursday or whatever the raid historically was called. I don't remember, is it? Exactly. But there you go. The bombers are coming in. Pretty inaccurate drop. I probably would have done better to just let the AI drop those bombs. I also don't really know how the AI economy works, so who knows exactly how the ball bearings are rated in the game in terms of target priorities. It claims we lost 10 bombers, which that's a fair bit. Very little damage to the factory. But it also claims we shot down 82 enemy fighters. If we took out 82 Luftwaffe fighters for only 10 bombers, that would be a tremendous success, I think. But we'll probably need to give the guys a day. Yeah, only 24 ready bombers in this group. They can pull enough aircraft from reserve to kit the group out. But all of those fighters were lost in the lead bomber formation, the 91st. The 97th continues their work of being second in line and taking very little damage. So naturally, their morale is much higher. Their organization and training are also better. Their motivation is way worse, though, interestingly enough. But yeah. I don't know if, like, again, the fuel and munitions baffles me, but... did we have intel on Schweinfurt? 33,726 ball bearings. That means nothing to me. But okay. But yeah, so this is Bomber Command, basically a one-man project available on Steam for $15. And we've played through a couple of weeks now. I don't know if we'll keep playing this. Let me know if you guys want to see more. I think it's going to be a bit grindy from a 42 start. I wonder if the 40... If we actually go to the... Let's save. Just in case. So if we go back to the main menu and we take a look at the new games... What if we go to 44? What's that look like? So we start in January 44. And I don't know, I guess there's no damage yet in the German industry. Okay. That's not very realistic, but whatever. But how many bomber groups do we have in a 44 start? So we've got the 91st, the 97th, 356 fighter group, and that's it? No more aircraft? We do have 130 B-17s in reserve, 70 B-24s. We have some P-51s, P-47s. So like we could immediately form up what? New, how many? We could do 2 B-17 groups and a B-24 group, a P-51 group, and a P-47 group. So that would instantly give us 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 3 bomber groups. No, we've got more than that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 B-17 groups, a P-51, 2 P-47s. Actually, we could switch these guys to P-38s too. I don't know why it says switch to P-51s. Anyway. Let's actually do this real quick. Let's see what a bigger raid looks like. So let's hit, oh hell, let's hit Schweinfurt again. Bomb the target. A max effort. That's 5 groups of bombers. 1 group of B-24s. The rest are B-17s. 5 groups, so that's over 240 bomber. What is that exactly? 240, I think. And then we'll send all of our fighters. The P-51 should be able to reach. P-38s can't quite. Curious how well the game handles aircraft turning back, or will they all crash? I don't know. Okay. So let's see what happens here. Bombing Schweinfurt. Ooh, look at all those aircraft. Look at all those wide array of aircraft. We've got P-51s, which have the red tails. We've got P-38s, which the iconic twin-engined, twin-tailed aircraft. Some P-47s in there. What are those guys? These look weird. They're like P-38s with a different color. I think the B-24s are out front. That would make sense from a bomber point of view, as they're the fastest. We'll let the AI drop. We've got fighters in front, or in the middle and in the rear of the formation. The B-24s are going in alone. The enemy did not intercept us at all on the way in, interestingly enough. There were air bases we went right by. Those P-51s? Those must be P-47s. I thought they were P-51s. Oh, it looks like some of our aircraft took some damage from flak. So that's a first. And the enemy... I hear fighters. Oh, they're coming from behind. Drive them off, fighters. Go get them, little friends. Did all my little friends die? I wonder if they ran out of fuel. I think they might have been turning back because they were out of fuel. Those P-38s should have turned back. There's like a bomb. There's more like a bomber stream than this raid should have been. It seems like all the those P-38s go in. I don't know again how fuel's factored in. We did see the first group turn back without crashing, even though the raid was beyond their range. That's the way it should work. But then some of the later groups like melted when they were a little bit low on fuel. So I don't know if that's they just took air-to-air losses or if it was somewhat fuel related. Not really sure. But I think my bombers mostly did well. The fighters, we took horrendous losses. But the bombers seemed to do pretty well. They made it through. Kind of surprised we got P-38s all the way there. They should have not made it. It should have been the P-51s. They had the range to do it, but the P-51s seemed to turn back early, which I don't fully understand. There you go. We're coming home. We'll be home in time for a little bit late lunch. It'll be a brunch after 12. And let's see what the results were. And I also want to know how the invasion works. Like, does it push the enemy back? Does it actually simulate that? All right, we lost 0 bombers. Wow. We did lose 52 fighters, and 24 enemies were shot down. Very little damage to the ball bearing factory. If we take a look at the actual units, the B-17s all did great. B-24s did great. A few damaged here and there, but no losses. The P-58s did, P-51s, what, P-58s, did very well, very little damage, but I believe they were the first group I saw to turn back, so they didn't die. The P-47s got wrecked, which they would have been the ones pushing the range the hardest. They lost 40 aircraft. The P-38s didn't do as poorly, but and I don't think they had a full complement either. It was like 36 planes or something. But they did lose a few. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that's Bomber Command. Our second look. Our first look. They've got a nice little menu screen here where you get to see these bombers move through flak. It would be kind of cool if this animation of some kind was like what you saw when you went on the bombing run rather than the sight when you're dropping the bombs yourself. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I don't know that we'll take a look at any more of this. I think from a series perspective, there's not enough going on, at least in those early turns. And not enough feedback to really like make heads or tails of it. I could maybe do like an edited or compressed series, but let me know your thoughts. Anyway, with that being said, guys, that's going to do it. Thanks again for tuning in. This is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.